School kids adapt to learning during the pandemic. The Waterbury School District has a new plan to help students make the grade.
Channel 3 New Haven Bureau Chief Matt McFarland is live now with how it's making big changes to its grading policy. Matt.
Well, Aaron and Mark, this change is just for this year only, but Waterbury's Board of Education earlier this month, they decided to accept a new change. So now going forward, the lowest grade a student can get is a 50. Now, keep in mind, it's still an F, but there's no more 30s, 20s, or even a 0. Now, some argue that it's the wrong message to be sending to kids. Others say if a student struggles early on in the year and they get those really, really low grades, they wouldn't be able to bring their grade up even if they improve throughout the rest of the year. Now the district says they can. With a grandkid in the 5th grade, Deneen Taylor says going to school in the age of COVID is not easy.
The grades just might drop even a little bit more because they don't have that teacher background, that classroom setting.
And the Waterbury School District agrees. Earlier this month, by a 6-3 vote, the Board of Education changed the district's grading policy. Students can still fail, but just for this year, it's eliminating grades lower than a 50.
You could master anything for multiple grading periods and never be able to recover from a 0 or from a 30 or from a 20, but it's still an F. So I think this causes us to examine and gives us some time to further examine our practices and why we apply them to students and student opportunities to learn.
Some argue by getting rid of zeros, or specifically any number grade below a 50, the district is doing its students a disservice.
To tell every single student, just go do whatever you want to do, don't submit an assignment, we don't care what you're doing, you got a 50. Wrong message.
But in laying out the changes, Waterbury noted there's a potential for plenty of disruptions due to COVID. It already had to close one school down for a few days, and classroom cohorts at other schools had to switch to virtual learning. And it argues by eliminating the lowest number grades, it would still give students a chance to pull up their overall grade and not fail the entire year simply because they struggled in the first marking period.
Assigning zeros is not an effective response to poor academic performance or lack of effort. There is not a single study that supports the use of low grades or marks as a punishment that motivates students.
Now, it's not just the grading scale that's going to be changed. When it comes to the overall grade, it's also on how they're being graded. We'll have that part of the story coming up at 6. We're live with the mobile newsroom in Waterbury. Matt McFarland, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.